Hiya, Barbie.
Hi, Ken.
You want to go do a podcast?
Sure.
Jump in.
Ladies and gentlemen, Barbies and Kens, Kelly of all ages, and everyone else. Welcome to Binging Barbie, a Barbie movie podcast. I'm your host, John, and with me are my wonderful co-hosts. You know what really bothers me, Jay?
Yodeling hand puppets?
For those of you just joining us, we are a podcast about Barbie movies. Every week we watch one of the straight-to-DVD animated Barbie movies, and we rate its story, characters, animation, voice acting, and music to see how it stacks up. This week we will be talking about the 20th animated Barbie movie, Barbie Princess Charm School.
Yeah, quite an interesting 20th movie, I think.
Charming, I should say.
Prince Charming Academy.
Yeah. Let's dive right into this. So it was released on September 13th, 2011 on DVD, and it is directed by Ezekiel Norton, going by the name Zeke Norton in the credits here.
Okay.
He's known previously for directing TV shows such as Beast Wars and the Spider-Man animated show from the mid-2000s.
The MTV one, I assume?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah,
There
the
was a
CGI
ton
one.
I could... Yeah.
Yeah. I just finished watching that, actually.
Okay.
Which actually I think helps the insight of this.
Okay, that's good. I'm curious to hear what you have to say about that.
Mm.
But he's also done previs and VFX work on the movie 2012, Percy Jackson and the Olympians, and one of my favorites, Cabin in the Woods. That's
Okay.
kind of a fun... And written...
Yeah.
This is written by Elise Allen, she's been around the block a few times. We know her very well. Coming back once again for one of these movies. And the music is by B.C. Smith, who's been their go-to composer for a few of these now.
Yeah.
Yeah, the story is that we have Blair. She's a teenager who lives in a big city in the fictional country of Gardenia, and she works at this cafe to support her young sister and her sick mom. But Gardenia is home to the Princess Charm School, which, as you can imagine, is a school for princesses. And every year, one random commoner is chosen to go there. So you can probably guess which random commoner it will be this year.
Yeah.
Obviously, Blair's name gets chosen, and turns out that her sister had submitted her name. And Blair is initially kind of hesitant, but decides to go hoping she can help her mom afford better care. And she goes to the academy, and Blair is immediately out of place there. We meet Delancey, who is about to be crowned Princess of Gardenia, and her mother, Dame Devon, and they immediately dislike Blair.
Yeah.
And Delancey is only in line for the throne because the royal family died in a car accident.
Wow.
But there are rumors that the young princess might have survived.
So it's Anastasia.
Yeah, essentially.
Meets the Princess Diaries.
Is that why they're always in horse and carriages and they're never in a car?
Probably.
And also some sort of magical girl show. There's a lot of things that this thing could be based on.
Yeah, it's definitely taking inspiration from a lot of different sources.
Yeah, it's pretty... When you break it down to its bare bones, it's a pretty simple story that follows a lot of the stereotypes of this genre. Which...
Yeah, it does take some, I mean, not unexpected twists, but some twists along the way.
I do enjoy this genre, typically.
Okay.
So, take that.
The school, boarding school type thing, or like the Princess Diaries, Secret Royal thing?
More like the boarding school thing, like the quote-unquote magical school genre. Which this is kind of taking reference from. but not quite reaching the same levels. We'll get to that.
Yeah. And speaking of the magic school, Blair is kind of having a bit of trouble. She doesn't have much experience being prim and proper, but Miss Privet, one of the teachers, decides to help tutor her, and that goes pretty well. And eventually the school goes on a field trip to the castle where Blair and her roommates come across a portrait of the former queen who looks suspiciously like Blair. And it's, I think, at this moment that Blair reveals that her mother found her abandoned on a doorstep.
No, that was
that
before.
was before the
That was
portrait.
before? Oh,
She got
okay.
the drawing from her sister.
That was before. Yeah.
Okay.
But
So,
everybody knew right away what was
Yeah,
happening.
yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
so yeah, they all kind of start to suspect that maybe Blair is the actual Princess of Gardenia. And in order to prove this, they have to find the magic crown that glows when it's put on the head of the true heir. But before they can start looking for it, Dame Devon has kind of like caught on to their schemes and plants jewelry in their room, accuses them of being thieves, and gets them kicked out of the school.
Yeah.
But this is where Delancey actually has a change of heart. She doesn't really want to be princess, and she kind of sees a way out of it. So she decides to help Blair and helps them sneak into the castle to look for the crown while she is in the middle of her coronation ceremony. And hijinks ensue, but eventually Blair gets the crown, puts it on, and is revealed to be the true heir. She becomes princess, and everyone lives happily ever after.
Yeah, the only trope that they didn't put in this is that they switched the crown and it was a fake.
Yep. Though in Ella Enchanted, they poison the crown. But yes, there's nothing special about the crown.
Right.
The crown is just kind of, well, I mean, it's a
It's
magic
magical.
crown. But there isn't a ton of it's just getting the crown to where it needs to be. There's no fake out.
Well, there is the scene where it falls on the carpet and the butler flings it into the air.
Just kind of,
Yes, but we all knew that the good boy prince would save the day.
yep. Although isn't it Delancey that throws it to Blair?
Well,
Not throws
Delancey
it, she
picks
gives
it
it.
up
Yeah.
and then gives it to Blair.
After Prince gets a little tackle going on.
Yeah. Which, yeah, I think the story here, I was surprised by how solid it is.
Yeah.
Like, not everything works as well as it maybe could. Like, especially the twist, it's not even a twist. They foreshadow it so heavily that...
Well, like, as soon as they brought up the story of, like, the Anastasia rumor of, like, maybe the princess is still around, it's like, okay. Barbie's the princess, clearly.
Yeah.
And then that's immediately confirmed when Dame Devon, quote unquote, recognizes Barbie as being Sophia, and immediately is trying to kick her out.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a moment where Dame Devon looks at Blair and has this very exaggerated gasp. Just goes, so if you hadn't figured it out by that point.
Well, then at least you know who the bad guy was, if you were unsure for some reason.
If you were unsure which of the two teachers that teach this entire school was bad, the one who from the beginning's like, my daughter is the princess.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think Dame Devon herself, we'll get into her more in the character section, but she doesn't have a ton of seeds, but when you actually think about what she's done, like, I feel like it's implied at the very least that she orchestrated the car crash.
Well, yeah, no, it's not implied. She says it at the very end.
Okay.
Yeah.
Something like,
Implied,
I
especially by the
didn't do
vault.
that to the parent.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
She says it on live TV.
Mm-hmm.
Correct. Speaking of live TV.
And more gasps ensue.
Yeah, speaking of live TV?
Oh, speaking of live TV, this is more on the animation note, but we in the beginning we see that
Blair.
Blair, they have a scratchy old TV that was not scratchy when they were watching the coronation. It was perfect HD.
I was more interested in when a Ryan Seacrest type from BoJack Horseman showed up as one of the announcers. Not literally, but that was pretty much who it
I
was.
I was surprised that they pulled the name of Blair, and then the guy showed up at the doorstep
I
like
know.
2 seconds later.
It was like the CIA. They immediately were like ready at
Maybe
everybody's houses
they
to
have
like
stations around the city.
to come in to that door. It's like, you're coming with us. You're gonna be a princess.
Although she doesn't know at that point that she's going to be princess because they have this like other
It's
what
Lady
is
Royal.
it? The Lady Royal,
Lady Royal.
which is like the personal assistant to Royal, which
So
that's what Blair is initially going to be, but then at the end she's like, "Oh, Delancey, you were going to be princess, but now you can't be. So guess what? You get to be my personal assistant."
so what the heck is this school? Like, are we just creating so many monarchs? Like, what
I
is
Yeah,
this?
mean,
how many princesses are there in the world? Because the school was pretty packed.
yeah. I mean, it isn't dissimilar from there are sort of elite private schools in Europe that kind of mainly serve like not just like royalty but like what's the term? Why can't I think of the term?
Nobles?
Yeah, no, like anyone who has a title. That because you may not necessarily want to send your kids to a public school if you have that
Right,
kind of
but this
notoriety.
is more
But
training the people to become princesses.
yes.
What is this? Hunger Games choosing a name from a thing. You're not a princess.
I mean, honestly, it might just be a plot mechanic to get
It
Blair
is,
there.
but like you gotta question what the heck is this monarchy uh thing that they mean so much business that they'll show up 2 seconds after they announce who it is.
Yeah, it's definitely odd.
It's
But
very odd.
isn't the school just a semester? So I don't think it's actually like a school. I think it's like they already graduated from high school and now they have to go to this special school thing.
Oh, that
Right,
might
but
be.
Etiquette
some of them
class.
have been doing that for like a bit now, haven't they? Like
Yeah,
Delancey has been there for a bit.
it's ambiguous because yeah, Blair graduates after 1 year, but
But
there seem to be
she gets
people
there
who have been
partway
there.
through the school year at least.
Well, not necessarily. It could
Either
be
partway through the
similar,
school year or
like
like a second year or something.
because we have a transition where it goes from summer to autumn.
Mm.
So presumably, maybe
Mm.
she arrived like later than everyone else, but and then she sees the full year because then we see winter and spring.
Right.
So there is like time passing. But yeah, it is. There's not a ton of explanation for what the school. Like, there's a lot of explanation for like what the school is and how it works, but not any like
What is the
why.
outcome? Why do we need so many princesses and princes? What does this accomplish? I don't know. One of them wants to be a soccer player, one other one a musician. What does this mean? I don't know.
I do think it
Princess.
is an interesting setting. John, like you were saying, like these boarding school stories that are like there's an aspect of sort of imagining what you would do if you were there.
Yeah, it's typical to the closest thing in pop culture is Harry Potter
Yeah.
of going to Hogwarts. I think this closely resembles. I don't know if any of you have seen Little Witch Academia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, it very much resembles that of you have this outsider coming in who is not as familiar and has to work very hard to get to the top. Um, Same style. I just like the environment of that setup. Something that I wish that they had done more, and this is probably more into the character section, is we needed more professors or more
Yeah.
variety of professors because just having the two just makes it so boring.
Yeah, and this is actually one of those movies where I think they could have benefited from more time
Yeah,
to
yeah,
build
because
out the world.
they're close to something good here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean even something like Miss Privet, I was expecting her character to have more going on, but obviously they don't have a ton of time to just like do that kind of subplot here.
No, she's there to help tutor, and then she's there at the end, I guess.
Yeah. And I do also like this subplot of sort of Blair comes from this lower income family where it's even like implied that she's the main, like,
She's the breadwinner.
yeah, because she's working at this cafe and her mom
Mm-hmm.
is sick. And then that she's here mainly because she's looking out for her family. Like, she doesn't see this as, oh, I'm gonna get to be a lady royal and live this perfect life. She sees it as a very practical, her mom is sick and she needs help, and this would improve their lives. And then, of
Yeah.
course, in the sort of the second half of the movie, where Dame Devon introduces this threat that if Delancey becomes princess, they're going to gentrify the neighborhood where Blair lives. And how for Dame Devon, this is just like a, oh, we'll just build this nice park. But for Blair, it's, oh, what about the people living there? What do they do? How does
Although
that
I won't
impact
say I
them?
wouldn't be surprised if Dame Devon was doing that because Blair's family was
Yes.
there too.
I think the fact that the image was her apartment building.
Yeah, no, definitely being attacked.
But yeah, it's the kind of, like, we've had various movies now where there's been sort of these wider social critiques going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This is going back to our political intrigue as well,
Yes.
with Dame Devon taking over the monarchy, forcing her daughter, like in what's Island Princess. Yeah,
Yes, very similar to that.
very similar.
Even the whole secret princess thing feels similar to
Oh
Island
my! Oh
Princess.
yes, very much so. They did do that. They did do that.
Yep.
One world building thing I'm wondering is why would she be crowned princess for life? Like if the rightful heir came up, couldn't they work things out then? Or
I mean, different countries have different rules. I think that's just a add stakes to the end of the movie type
Yeah,
thing.
like once someone is considered a monarch, you can't take them down.
Yeah.
okay,
But isn't the monarch the queen, not the princess?
But the queen died in a car accident.
but she
Yeah,
was going to be crowned princess, not
yeah,
or was she going to
yeah.
be crowned queen?
She would count princess, and you become a queen when you marry the prince.
Yeah.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
But you married Prince Charming,
No, not Prince
the
Charming.
Prince Charming
Prince,
Academy
yes.
graduate.
Prince Nicholas of Prince Charming Academy.
Yes,
Not the
our
guy in
Ken of
glasses.
this film.
Yeah, the guy in
Yeah.
glasses.
That was one of the things I wish they had more time to explore is like, what
Yeah.
is Prince Charming school like? What is Nicholas like as a character beyond the two scenes that he shows up
He
in?
shows up late and
He's
he
a
gets along with
dancer.
Blair.
Yes.
They can freestyle.
I was so confused at that scene.
And the fact that the professors had nothing to say about that.
Yeah, they were
Yeah.
just like, "Oh,
The
yep,
music
class is
Very
over
well.
now. Good job."
Good job. Now leave.
The music just changed. Like, how was that in
It's
there?
because Blair and Nicholas nodded to each other knowingly,
They nodded,
which
which
changed
meant,
the music.
alright, it's freestyle time. I guess.
Yeah. I think though those elements work well, and it suggests a world beyond the boundaries of the Princess Charm School.
Hmm.
Even though we don't ever get to see it. Honestly, this would be a fun one if they ever did a sequel.
Honestly, this would be a good show.
Yeah, that too. You could do a lot with it.
Mm. Yeah, no, one thing I was disappointed not to see is more magical thing. Because with a title like Charm School, I'm thinking, they're going to learn magic. And we got fairies here as assistants. I'm like, fairies. Like, as soon as they open the door, you walk in, and there's these green orbs that are following everybody. And it's like, it's magical. But those green orbs never show up again. They just show up for the opening and like, okay, no, guess there's no magic here. Except for the crown, which can make a dress.
Yep, the crown and the fairies.
There's the charm.
Yep. Honestly, like the magic almost feels out of place. Like when they introduced the magic crowd, even though they've already had these fairies, like I was like, wait a second, that's very unrealistic for this world. But then I took a step back and was like, wait a second, there are fairies here. Why would that be? But yeah, the magic isn't very foregrounded.
I would have liked if they went that direction. Although it'd be too much like Little Witch Academia, but still a fun direction to go.
Yeah.
I liked it when I was a kid. I still enjoyed it this time. It's not deep or anything, but it's fun.
Yeah.
Mhm. I was confused on the whole uniform part of it, but you know.
Oh yeah, the
let's
little with
get to
uniform.
that later. We're talking about animation. We'll get to that.
I mean, it is a way to get Barbie her own outfit.
We'll get to that.
But yeah, overall, I gave the story a 4 out of 5. I think it worked well, though it maybe wasn't my favorite element of the movie.
Yeah, I also give it a 4 out of 5. I just liked the concepts that they were playing with. If they had spent more time to just develop this world and just what they were doing, it could be much higher. But I liked the initial idea of where they were going.
I gave it a 4.5.
And I gave it a 4.
So next up, we have the characters. We actually have quite a few here. So first up is obviously Blair.
Blair?
Emma, Sarah, thoughts on Blair?
I think
Typical
she works
Barbie.
well as a protagonist. I mean, like Jacob, she actually has a motive, which is nice. And then she cares about her family, which is nice. And I think it was interesting too to have it that she wasn't the one who wanted to go to Princess Charm School. I think that aspect of the story was kind of fun to explore too.
Mhm. I do. At the beginning opening scene, her character seems so different than when she gets to Princess Charm School. Like, she successfully runs a cafe and then she can't do anything right in Princess Charm School. Like, you think some of the
Yeah, like she trips
skills
over and all
from
that.
running a cafe would run over to Princess Charm School. But,
Yeah.
eh.
You think that her skills of just balancing trays would carry over to balancing books in her heads, but no.
But no, instead her skills carry over to fashion and outfit making
Yeah.
somehow.
Yeah. Yeah, running at a cafe really helps make dresses out of very, very little material with very different color palettes.
Yeah, I want to circle back to something Emma said of this idea of how she doesn't want to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Or not that she doesn't want to be at Princess Charm School, but that she wasn't the one who entered this contest. And I think it adds this interesting thing where she feels the extra pressure of needing to be there for her sister, and like she's tried to have the experiences that she's living her sister's dream.
Mm-hmm.
and so she feels a little bit of extra like, oh, I need to enjoy this and learn to like it here. Which, yeah, that's an interesting aspect because a lot of these magic boarding schools, it's like, the Harry Potter thing of, oh, Harry Potter has a terrible home life and he loves being at Hogwarts. Where here there's a little bit more complexity. But yeah, as Sarah was saying, she's kind of still the same kind, clever, and brave that Barbie always is.
Yeah, she's the typical Barbie protagonist.
Except
She
she
has her
actually accepts help
struggles.
from friends.
Mm.
Okay.
Unlike other people we know.
Yep. Now, speaking of her friends, we could just jump down to them. Isla and Hadley. I think that were those. She's had a friend named Hadley before.
Maybe, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They're we've seen these characters so many times.
They are their same.
Yeah.
There's not much
Even
to say about it. They're there. One likes music, one likes
sports.
soccer.
And we've had because in Barbie Diaries, one of her friends liked music. I guess they all
Mm.
like music, but I think one of them
Yeah.
liked music more. And in Perfect Christmas, which came out after this, but we talked about it before, we have the sister who likes music.
Happy New Year's.
Yes, Happy New Year.
Yeah. First of the year. Get in there.
Yep. But yeah, I didn't have much thoughts on Isla and Hadley. They're just kind of
You
the
know,
same.
I kind of forget about them.
It took me
What?
forever to realize that the music lover, she had drumsticks in her hair. Cause I thought they were just like normal little hair things you put in your
Chopsticks?
hair. Took me forever to realize that they were drumsticks.
I didn't realize that, so thanks for pointing that out.
Yeah.
And what I question is she pulls them out of her hair sometimes to play the drums and her hair doesn't fall out. Like, what magic is that?
Hair ties.
How about that beam gymnastics?
Oh, yeah.
Laser beam gymnastics, In every single thing that has a laser beam vault. It's like, we have to dance through it.
Well,
Every single time.
I did like how that one girl did dance through it, and then the other two were completely flailing around and tried to get through it.
Yeah, the poor fairy had to like shepherd them through it. That was a fun little subversion, even though, yeah, you of course have to have the laser hallway with
You
the
don't.
gymnastics.
You don't need the laser hallway with gymnastics. It's such a tired trope.
Yeah, I was actually thinking the same thing once it got through. I was like, it might have been nice if they had been a little bit more creative and done like a unique trap rather than. But I mean, it is what it is.
It is what it is. It allows the animation team to do flips, I guess.
Which, as we saw in Three Musketeers, they like.
I believe they done better this time. That's for sure.
So next up we have Delancey, who
Delancey.
probably has the biggest arc in the movie. Emma, Sarah?
She looked like Barbie at the end.
She does look like Barbie.
Yeah.
Like, I was confused at times. It's like, is that Barbie? Nah. But, like, is there like a family relation between her and Barbie?
Yes, they're cousins.
That would make sense. That's why they look similar. But no, she follows the typical trope of being the boarding school bully that turns into allies when she realizes Blair's potential. In this case, her lineage.
Yeah. And I mean, the arc is kind of like she's so mean at the start and so nice at the end that it's maybe a little odd.
Yeah.
But I do think they do a good job of like interspersing the change throughout the movie. And this is taking place over the course of a year, so I could see why there would be such a long change, even if the movie doesn't make it feel like a year has passed.
Yeah, I do wish they went a bit more in depth on like why her character did change and stuff like that. Like, does she not? It doesn't seem like she doesn't necessarily want to be princess, or maybe I missed something.
She
But
doesn't want to be
okay,
princess. That's the
that's the
reasoning.
main thing.
Yeah, we've seen this arc a few times. Similar to Raquel in Very
Mm-hmm.
Secret, similar to Sunburst in the third Fairytopia movie.
Yeah.
I do wish they had explored it more because, especially if she basically just handed the crown to Blair so that she wouldn't be princess, then why did Blair accept her as the Lady Royal rather than one of her other friends?
Because
I
all
don't
her
know.
other friends were princesses, but
Why did she do that? Except I guess that Blair she crowned her, but still, that is a
It's
choice.
because Blair would have just kind of, or like Delancey would have just kind of. Delancey went from in line for the crown to not.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like a way of being like, oh, we can both still come out of this winners.
Thematically, I understand that doing that for Delancey makes sense, but given the context of what would have just happened, it's not quite all there.
Yeah, I did comment at the point where, because Delancey's like, why would you do something so nice for me? And I made the comment while we were watching it that, like, it's not actually nice. She's being like, hey, thanks for giving me the crown. Now come and be my personal assistant for life.
Everyone
But the
else
movie
gets to
treats
be
it as,
princesses. You
yeah,
don't.
I'm gonna be your boss now.
yeah. The movie treats it as like this big honor, but yeah, it's an odd
Yeah,
choice.
but it's something.
I do think her arc worked for me. I think if we keep seeing this arc over and over again, it might start to get a little bit old. And
We're gonna be seeing this for sure.
yeah, I am maybe a bit more forgiving because we've just recording schedules and things. We've been on a bit of a break from recording our normal episodes.
Yeah,
So it's been a
I'm
while since we sat down to talk a Barbie movie. So
I'm more forgiving this time around because this arc is typical of this of the different genre that we're going here with the
yeah,
boarding school and learn to become something.
yeah, very similar to well, in some ways to Owl House as well, the Disney show.
Hmm.
But yeah, next on our list we have Miss Privet.
Yeah. The only good teacher.
One of two teachers in the entire school, so
Needed more teachers. Should have had
yeah.
a wacky one. Let her
I
be an
like,
old lady. Like,
oh
I
yeah,
remember.
like Three Musketeers having the mentor. And I do like when she's mentoring Blair. I just I
Yes.
kept waiting for her to have more to do or for there to be more to her character. Like I was thinking throughout this whole movie that like, oh, well someone rescued the baby from this car accident and put it on the doorstep. What if that was Miss Privet?
Like, did she know about the lineage?
Yeah. That would have been such an interesting thing. But no, that's not. It's kind of just not even addressed, I don't think.
No, she's just there.
Yeah.
It's a shame. She was caught in the. She's cut from the third act. I really wish she had some more.
Yeah.
The name just reminds me of, is it Private Drive or Privet Drive from Harry Potter?
From Harry Potter, I believe it's Privet Drive.
Okay. And I just like that she lived there and she Harry Potter's neighbor, you know.
I mean, if she had rescued the baby from the car accident, then she would basically just be Hagrid.
Yeah.
To contrast her, we have Dame Devon,
She's
who is
fun.
our antagonist of the film,
What was her evil laugh at that one point that we all laughed at?
the
Oh, yeah.
overbearing mother who
Yes.
wants to success through her child.
to the extent that she murders people in a car accident.
Yes.
Like, yeah, there's not a ton going on behind. Like, she's not a super complex villain, but she's just fun.
Her dresses are interesting fashion choices.
Very frilly and over the top.
Mm.
Well, like they're really frilly and then they're really tight. Like they're frilly and then
Frilly
super
shoulders and
tight,
everything else.
and it just doesn't look great. It's like choose frilly or tight. You can't have both.
Honestly, I didn't want her on screen at all. It's like, not this woman. Don't need
I
her.
think the reason she works is the vocal performance, and we'll get down to that later. I think the way she's written, she's kind of a stereotypical, the kind of villain we've seen
Yeah.
before. But I think the vocal performance, which again we'll talk about later,
We'll go to that.
makes the character less stereotypical.
Yeah, and then we have the best character in the whole
Yes,
film.
Portia.
Portia.
She is so good. Every line she says is so good. She is playing the Amanda Seyfried role from Mean Girls so well. Just like
She usually in this genre we have our main villain bully, and usually that comes in a trio of
Yep.
one of the more monotone sarcastic one and then the dumb one. Here she takes both of those.
yes. And she's just kind of the definition of no thoughts, head empty.
Every
Like,
line is iconic.
yes, like that's we started with one of her lines. You know what really bothers me, Portia? Yodeling hand puppets.
Mm.
I liked
Is that a reference to Sound of Music?
Might be.
I liked the line where her friends tried to explain, and so she eats the cake, and she's like, "Oh, you took my cake." No, Blair took your cake. Oh, I have to get after Blair.
I wanted that cake. Yeah. I didn't like her. She was too dumb for me.
Floor cake.
Floor cake. Look, they're serving floor cakes. I didn't realize you made clothes. I thought they just magically appeared, like toast.
No. Usually this type of character gets annoying, but no, Portia just the way the character it could be the performance as well. It's just at the right moments.
Yes.
No.
And just the randomness of what she says. Like, you never know what she's going to say next. Yeah, maybe, Emma, your dislike of Portia is reflected in your score a bit.
Yep.
Just like dumb characters, I guess.
Basically.
Sarah, did you like Portia?
Yeah.
So it's three versus one.
Guess
So
I
you-
voted.
I would hate her to be my princess, but you know.
Yeah, hopefully she's a lady royal, not a princess.
No, she would be worse as a lady royal. The lady royal's the
Yeah.
one who has to do the work.
Oh, true.
Yeah. Now, next up we have Emily, who's Blair's sister.
Mm-hmm.
I like that she's the one who submitted Blair's name.
Yeah.
And that she did it like 10
Only
times a
5
day
or
for
6
a
times
year.
every day
Hey,
for an
a
entire
year.
year.
It's like, okay, rigging the vote a little bit there.
Yeah, but it worked.
One those usually they'll only have you enter once, I feel
Well,
like.
there's some where you can like mail in as many as you want, but they have to be handwritten or something. So normally people don't
Oh.
do more than one, but you can.
Oh.
Oh, he has his calculator out. How many times?
Yep.
what's
So
your
we're
name
looking
submitted?
at she's in this
It's
at
exactly
least
5 times a day.
yes, 1,825 times is how many
But what if it
times.
was a leap year? Then it would be 1,830 times.
Oh.
Yeah,
It
we
does
were
look like that amount of paper in the rolling pin.
we were talking about before how do they know which house to go to, and we asked that during the movie too, and I think that they just knew that Blair was going to be chosen because her name was overwhelmingly in there, so they were just like, okay, we'll just have it be Blair. You can wait outside her house. We'll announce it, pretend like it's a lottery thing, but we know it's Blair.
And then that one chance it's someone else. It's like, ah, darn.
No, they would have just read out Blair anyway.
It's like,
Yeah, Emily doesn't really have much to do after her one scene, so she sends the drawing.
Well, she sends a drawing, and then you can tell that Blair cares about her because she talks about her a lot.
Yeah.
yeah.
Again, I think she would be one of those characters where it would be interesting to see more of her if this were a TV show.
Yeah. We also have a fairy that's not mentioned in our characters
Yes.
list. I don't know the fairy's name. They exist.
Yeah, I don't remember
That
the
wicked
fairy.
Oh
whatever.
yeah.
No, Wicella
Wakella.
is Delancey's totally not wicked evil fairy, Wickelia. What is the other fairy's name? Lorraine?
Lorraine.
Grace?
No,
Harmony?
was the evil one, wasn't it?
That was Dane Devon.
Yeah. No, Lorraine was Devon's.
Okay.
Devon.
Yeah, I don't know what the fairy's name was.
Which, it proves how important the character was.
Yeah, I like
and how
that
they're
she's
utilized.
a little bit clumsy, serving some floor cakes at the beginning of the movie. But yeah, she doesn't have much to do. She's kind of the third friend to Isla and Hadley's. Like, she's the third person in that
Do the fairies have a union?
Maybe they should.
Probably, yeah.
I think it would have been cool if she had some kind of throwaway line when Blair's getting all clumsy, like, "Oh, that's okay, I'm clumsy too," or something like that. That might have been cool.
Instead, we get floor cakes.
Now, the last character I have here is
Yeah, speaking of floor cakes,
Prince Nicholas, who he has two scenes, but he has really good chemistry with Blair.
Yeah, that's the Ken of this film.
Yeah. Like, yeah, again, if this movie were longer, it would have been interesting to see more of him, but this movie is short, so we only see a few scenes with him.
Not much to say about the prince.
Nicholas reminds me of the prince with glasses. I think it would have been cool if he and whatever the main girl they were, if they actually got together at the end. That would have shown more of the character development too.
Oh yeah.
Where she's like, "Oh, I don't care about looks. This guy with the glasses is actually pretty cute."
Honestly, that'd be too much.
Yeah, that would be a good TV series thing again.
Yeah, it's too long for the movie, but that would have been cool.
This should have been a show.
Some kind of redemption arc in the end that wasn't just, "Oh, you handed the crown to me, now you're my Lady Royal."
It could still be a show. Why not?
Yeah, I mean, it would be they've made sequels before. This would be a fun one if they were to revisit it.
Mm-hmm.
Revisit this world and these characters.
Yeah, bring in Brooklyn Barbie instead.
Yeah.
I want to know if they also do the lottery for Prince Charming Academy, though. Do they have one girl and one guy every year who get chosen for the lottery? Is it Hunger Games or is it just one girl?
Maybe that was the glasses guy. He was the commoner.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe glasses guy was the commoner. That would make sense, probably.
Anyway, I gave the characters a 4.
I am doing something brave. I'm giving the characters a 4.5 out of 5.
Whoa, interesting.
I think there's a few forgettable characters, but
yeah,
even the friends who are the same friends who have been in every movie, they served their purpose. And then we also have Blair, who's more interesting, and Delancey, who's more interesting. And then we have Portia, who bumps up my score a little bit as well.
The 0.5.
Yeah.
Yes, Portia is the 0.5. Actually, she might be the 4, and everyone else is the 0.5.
In the TV show, she's the protagonist.
Yes. Just like the chaos that ensues around her that she is entirely oblivious to.
No, if they make a series, they should have her either be like the, commercial break thing or then after credit where it's just her. Yeah, I gave it a 3.
I
I
also
didn't like Portia.
gave it a 3.
All right.
Well-
Animation. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, just looking at screenshots of this film when even before leading up to this film, I was like, I kind of like the way the character models look. I can't
Yes.
wait. I was so excited to watch this movie just to see, because it looked like it'd be animated well, and it was. The character expressions were just so vibrant. I liked these are the best looking models that we had, even down to like the texture of the clothing. It was pretty darn good. There
Yeah.
was some jerky movement, but it was fun. Really
Yeah, I
liked
mean
it.
that is like the issues are issues that have been issues in other Barbie movies, but
Yeah.
the successes, we haven't seen animation this good.
In a long
Yeah.
time in the series.
Yeah. I would even say like so far this is the best animated, just as the technology improves, obviously.
Yeah. The backgrounds could still use a little bit more work, but they're not as bad as
Yeah.
before.
They
The
went with this
the dog though could be better.
oh yeah. There's certain areas of Princess Academy that look kind of like flat and empty,
Yeah.
but that's balanced out by like the absolutely spectacular character work that is going on.
Yeah. Which just going back to what I said earlier, there being the director being part of the 2003 animated Spider-Man show. I was watching that and I was really quite surprised at how well a lot of the movement just really worked in that show, even today. The character models are definitely outdated, but there's just some moments that's like, yes, no, this is really well done. And I could see some of that influence here.
I really like how when you get the shots of all the girls in their uniforms, not all the girls look exactly the same. And even with the Prince Charming guys, not all of them look exactly the same.
Yeah.
And it just like it brings so much because it's like they're all in the same outfit, so you can't distinguish them based on outfit. You actually have to try doing other things. So I really liked that.
Yeah, one of the things that I don't love about this film is transitions.
Yep.
This has been a constant struggle with the last few films, but this one was the most notable to me. Like they try to do visual matching of the transitions, but still, just it really takes you out of each moment.
Yeah, I think that is the weakest part here. Yeah, the uniforms that they make. I mean, they're a
Not
bit
bad.
odd. Yeah.
They're not bad, but it's they explicitly say it's like we made these uniforms just from the material of our RIP uniforms.
Yeah.
I don't know why one of them has a leather jacket when
Yeah, I don't know where they got those materials, but
right, and also why that one has that one color that's only this much in the actual uniforms.
they took apart the threads and made completely new fabric.
They had to dye some, they had to get their dyes out and
Oh yeah, is it
you
still
know.
the same uniform if it's dyed a different color?
Right, the color
Maybe.
scheme is just all over the place.
Yeah. There's two different kinds of blue plaid between the three outfits.
There's two different proof.
I was really surprised. So the guys when they show up, they have the blue plaid, for their vests under their suits. And then apparently their dress uniform is just pink plaid. Like
Same thing, but
the
pink.
the girls get to wear these beautiful ball gown dresses. The guys have to put on a pink vest.
I mean, it's Barbie Land.
Yeah.
The dancing, though, that was
Oh yeah.
a bit much at times, but it was something.
It's the best dance sequences since Swan Lake. Now they aren't quite at the level of Swan Lake because Swan Lake has some,
Mocap. I'm sure
well,
this had
and
mocap too.
some very like impressive and creative. But even the just like the regular seeds are, there's so much creativity in the animation.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's an early scene of Blair working in the coffee shop where it's sped up, and it's something that we've seen before, but it's not it's not a standard thing. When I saw it, I'm like, okay, there's a bit more creativity and a bit more thought. And John, you talked about this sort of the TV that they have where there's a lot of static coming in. You know, they're putting in the effort to,
And then they forget that effort
well,
later
yeah,
on. But
but it is kind of like there is a lot of creativity going on, and I think part of it might just be bringing in a new director who kind of brings new ideas to the table.
yeah,
But then even just like the quality in general is so much better. Like the mountains behind the castle always look spectacular, and I love that there's like the changing seasons as well. Emma, what did you think of the animation?
Decent, nothing impressive. And then there were quite a few mistakes that I noticed here and there. Nothing
cool.
really major, but
Yeah, I having watched all of these movies, which Emma, you haven't been watching, so it isn't like
yeah, I'm comparing to
you.
like other
Yeah,
animations I've seen that have come out in more recent years. So
Oh, for
yeah.
sure, for sure.
Like we just watched our most recent Barbie movie. We watched was Perfect Christmas,
Mm.
which was just
the robot
abysmally
eyes.
bad. So
Yeah,
to jump to this, and that they came out in the same year, which kind of makes me think like, maybe a bit of the money from that production went to this production.
yeah,
Like this was clearly the focus of the year, but it looks so spectacular.
yeah. I do kind of wish they spent more time on this though, because it looks so much better.
Yeah. Sarah, other thoughts?
No.
No. Yeah, I was just blown away
Yeah,
in a way I haven't been by the animation in a long time.
because of this, I gave it a 4.
Yeah, I gave it a 5. I
Mm.
think that's the highest animation score I've given yet, and I will stand by it.
I gave it a 3.
I gave it a 2.
So yes, a bit of a spread out here. We
Nicely
have
spread.
2, 3, 4, and 5.
Oh, we need another guest who thought it was a 1.
Yeah, definitely. All right.
Yeah, next up we have voice acting. So once again, Diana Karina is playing Barbie,
Yeah.
and I actually believe this is the last time we will be talking about her as Barbie.
Really? Okay.
Let,
We'll
let me
get to
look
that.
this up a sec.
We'll get to that though.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I at this point I just stopped trying to compare her performance. Cuz to me like she's never going to sound perfectly like Barbie or even Kelly. So I just thought okay, she sounds good for the character of Blair versus sounding like a Barbie.
Yeah,
I could hear moments where it's like okay, I can hear her still trying. Good effort, but it's still not quite there for me.
yeah, I think here, as you mentioned, just the fact that she's not playing Barbie, whereas in all of the other movies, I think she's played Barbie
Yeah.
specifically. Whereas here she's playing Blair, and there's no even there isn't even like an introduction to the movie where Barbie is telling this story to someone else. So there's no Barbie in this movie.
No, it's just an actual film that Barbie's acting in, I guess.
Yeah. And this is the last movie with Diana Karina as Barbie. So, well, no,
Besides Pray for
this isn't the
Christmas.
yeah.
Yeah,
This is the
besides Pray
last
for
time we'll be
Christmas.
talking about her. Um,
Yeah. Hmm.
we're about to get we'll talk about it next
We'll,
week.
we'll talk next week. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think it's unfortunate that she never got to the point of like being Barbie. But I don't know. I think she probably hopefully moved on to better projects. Which yeah, she's done a lot of voice acting since, so it's not like she's hurting for work. She's been in even My Little Pony, so
Yeah.
but yeah, not at the same level as Kelly Sheridan, but that is a very difficult level to be at.
It is, especially for someone who'd have been doing it for so many years.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, I don't have much to say on voice acting. It all worked well, so nothing stood out as either good or bad. So,
Same.
No, I had a few performances I wanted to spotlight. So first up, I have Brittany Wilson, who plays Delancey, who I just think she did a good job. There's two parts to that character: the sort of the mean bully at the beginning, and then the nicer person at the end. And I think she pulled off both of those sides of the character well. And then, as we were talking about before, Nicole Oliver plays Dame Devon,
Hmm.
and she's so much fun. It's been a while since we've had like a well, actually no, that's not true. She's playing the same kind of like classic Barbie villain, but I think she gives a different performance than a lot of those classic Barbie villains have been. And I think she elevates the character beyond what is actually written on the page.
Okay.
And then the standout performance of the movie for me was Ali Liebert, who is playing Portia and Hadley, but mainly Portia. And she is doing a pitch perfect impression of Amanda Seyfried in Mean Girls. And that is a difficult performance to match, and she matches it and sells this character so perfectly. Like, the lines are funny, she brings them to life.
Hmm.
She makes them funnier. And Ali Liebert is a Canadian actress who does a lot of voice work, but actually also does a lot of like Hallmark type movies. And this is her first Barbie movie, but not her last. So we may be talking about her down the road.
Maybe so. Uh, Other things to point out were for Emily, we have Madison Peters, who is another Pony Lime, who I have met as
Okay.
well. And then we had a special guest star, Miranda Round Nolte as Princess Miranda. But she was an actress who was diagnosed with cancer.
Yes. And she passed away at the age of 18
Hmm.
in looks like 2013, so a few years after this.
Right. So this was probably, yeah, more maybe like a Make a Wish. Because
Yeah.
Rainmaker, sorry, this studio has done this voice acting studio has done these type of things before.
Okay. Yeah. I don't remember her character, so I can't really comment on her
Yeah,
performance,
no,
but
there wasn't much. She didn't have a whole lot of lines.
yeah. It is kind of nice though that she got to be in this
Right,
movie.
and so I gave the voice acting a 4. I thought it was overall good as usual.
Yeah. I gave it a 4.5. Again, I think some of these performances really elevate the characters. Even performances I didn't mention elevate the characters beyond what is just written on the page.
I'm actually going to give it a 4 as well. I mean, voice acting, it's good when nothing stands out, so I think since nothing stands out, that's good.
Oh, you just ruined my score, Emma.
Mm,
What
I
did
had
you give it?
a 3.52. Emma was supposed to say that gave it a 3.5, and then I was supposed to say I gave it a 3.52.
oh, that was dumb. Glad we didn't do that.
Well, yeah. Last up we have the music. So
Music.
once again, BC Smith. Once again, a score that I don't really remember. I'm sorry to say.
There was something about graduation, but
Yeah, the like original songs I think are nice.
So I had the opposite effect, where I
Okay.
preferred the score itself.
Oh.
There were some moments where, especially when we're in the school, and we're like, I'm liking the sound of this. It's meeting the vibe of the school. And I thought that the original music took me away from this genre, this mood, the
Okay.
environment. Especially during the montage. Different songs should have been used because I didn't think it fit that well. Even though the lyrics were matching the story, I didn't think the musically worked that well. Yeah, no, I thought the score was better than the original music.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't remember the score enough to comment on it, so I may need to try and listen to that isolated from everything. I like the original songs. I think the one during the opening credits specifically has such a different vibe to what we've been getting in the other movies.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of appreciated that. But yeah, as usual, I don't have much to say about the music here.
Same. I don't have much to say. It wasn't bad. It wasn't my favorite either.
yeah, it didn't really stand out.
Yeah. And because I was not as a fan of the original music, I gave the score a 3.8 instead of a 4, which would have completed this perfect track.
Yeah, I gave it a 4 out of 5.
I gave it a 3.5,
I gave it a 3.5 as well.
not a 3.52.
No.
Yeah. Which
It
leaves
only
me
was
with a
for
total
one.
score of 19.8 with a 79% and a 3.9 or 4 5-star rating.
Yeah, I have this pretty high up.
It is
I
pretty
gave it
high.
a 22 out of 25, which is
Mm-hmm.
an 88% or a 4.4 on our 5-star scale, which puts it near the top of my movies. I think it gets it cleanly into the top 5
Yeah.
for me. And John, I think it's high as well for you.
Yeah. No, it's just below Christmas Carol and the likes of yeah, just below Christmas Carol.
Yep. And then um Emma and Sarah gave it similar scores.
A 17.5 at 70% or a 3.5 out of 5.
I have a 16.52. Which gives it a 66% or a 3.3.
Yeah, so our average is a little bit closer to the middle of our scores with an 18.95.
Oh, who would have thought the average would be close to the middle of our scores?
Well, the middle of the overall rankings.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a 3.8 out of 5.
Good job bringing the average down again, Sarah. That's what we seem to be good at.
Yeah, it is interesting to me to see, and let me see where this even falls. Yeah, we're looking pretty much the middle of the list here in terms of overall score. So it is interesting to see how different opinions diverge on this.
Right.
because
Yeah.
I really like this one.
Yeah. No, I was happy. I think, of course, things could be better, but I thought this was a solid film.
Yeah.
I remember I had a notebook that had the cover of this. And it was one of those that had the glitter on it, and so it
Mm.
was more expensive than the super cheap 50-cent notebooks. And I had to try to convince my mom to get it for me because it's $1 instead of 50 cents. Can't buy it.
It's twice as
Yeah.
expensive.
It's twice as expensive.
Too expensive. My goodness, $1?
So yeah, Emma and Sarah, you briefly mentioned it, but you've both seen this movie before. John and I hadn't.
Yep.
No.
I really liked it when I was young. Maybe it's one of the reasons I rated it low is because it didn't quite live up to those same expectations. I'm like, oh, there's a lot more
Yeah.
wrong with it than I remember.
hmm
But I did really like it when I was little, so I'm glad to see that you guys are giving it such high scores. It's like, oh, I
Yep.
actually had some good taste back then. It wasn't just luck or anything. I definitely had good taste, you know.
Uh-huh.
For sure. Yeah. Anyway, thank you everyone for listening. Make sure to follow us on social media. We're Binging Barbie Podcast on Instagram, at Binging Barbie on Twitter, and Binging Barbie, a Barbie movie podcast on Letterboxd, where you can find an up-to-date list of our Barbie movie rankings. Anyway, we will be back next week to talk about a sequel to a recent Barbie movie, Barbie in a Mermaid Tale 2.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you.